It's going to be a high adventure type of show. We're joined by a couple of special guests, as you can see, as well as the star of the show, Gina. Gina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so great. Everybody today we've got a really exciting topic. We've got actual prizes. We've got very cool guests that I can't wait to introduce you to, but I don't want to bury the lead because I want you guys to get in on entering for our giveaway right now. We're talking about the high adventure bases, but we're talking about fundraising and fundraising ideas that can help you get there. I mean, other ways that maybe financially help you to be able to have the trek of a lifetime. So what we're asking you to do is comment along with the show. Let us know what kind of fundraisers you've taken part of in scouting, maybe some that you've considered. Hey, just share your favorite high adventure base trek stories too. All of those enter you for a chance to win 2 prize packs. Both prize packs have a set of 4 hats. This is for the collectors. You would get 1 hat from each high adventure base. We'll ship those to you after the show if you win. So watch, tag your friends, comment along. We're giving 2 of those prize packs away. Without further ado, we've got 2 really special guests here with us right from the 2 of the high adventure bases. We've got Johnny, who is from the Summit, and he's the Scout Camp and Summit Experience Director. So we're really lucky to have you on. Thanks for joining, Johnny.
Thanks for having me.
And then we've also got Blake from the Northern Tier. So cool. He's the Director of Programs for Ely. Hello, Blake. And will you, for our new viewers, explain what Ely means?
So Ely is the location of our Charles L. Summers canoe base. Northern Tier operates 3 separate canoe bases. 2 of them are in Canada, and Ely is our U.S. operations.
Beautiful. Okay, so these guys really live and breathe, the scouting experience at the high adventure bases. But something that they do see, during these treks is lots and lots of scouts who have raised funds to get to high adventure bases. Maybe you read the blog on Aaron on Scouting, but as we were planning today's video, we were kind of talking with the marketing manager for the Summit, Kevin, and he was saying people don't, I don't look back and remember fundraising and going to the high adventure base as 2 separate things. It was like one and the same. It was a given. We were going to be fundraising if we wanted to go. I think he went to Philmont. So I think that that's kind of a common experience we see. And then I know I've been talking a lot, but I have one more thing to say. We had this conversation. I wrote this blog last week. I was going to the grocery store and I saw some scouts out front, or actually I saw a scout and his dad out front of the grocery store. I said, guys, don't worry, when I leave, I'm definitely going to buy some popcorn, which I thought was nice, but it actually turned out to be really rude because much later when I exited, they were like, we were going to leave, but we waited for you. And I was like, oh, I felt so bad. But then I started talking to them. He had made his $4,000 when I grabbed some popcorn, and he was raising money to go to Florida Sea Base this summer. So, I mean, how relevant is that?
$4,000. That's pretty cool.
And he doesn't look like he's totally haggard from the experience. He was having fun. He was having enough fun that he was willing to wait for me, some nobody coming out of the grocery store who was just like, I'm going to get some, don't worry.
He probably recognized the star of Trek on Tuesday. But yeah, I think the message for today's show, Gina, is that I think a lot of scout troops who don't regularly go to high adventure bases, there's a lot of troops that go to Philmont almost every year, right? Or to one of the bases every year. I think the main takeaway from today's show is that if you're not one of those troops or crews or ships, maybe you could be. It's not as overwhelming as it might appear. Oh, a trip to West Virginia or Minnesota or Florida or New Mexico or whatever it is, it can be done with just a little bit of hard work. And in fact, that hard work, as we learned from talking to Kevin, is kind of part of the experience. It's a very memorable part of the experience. It's great lessons to be learned from earning your way to one of these bases, right? And
yes,
it's something that will stick with a scout. I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say forever.
And it's a given. I think that the scouts who don't go think, oh, that's out of reach. Unfortunately, I think we can't afford it. And the scouts who go think it's a given. We've got to raise money somehow. Before I take this picture off screen, I want to give a shout out to Troop 1001 in the Circle 10 Council. That scout is Aaron and his dad's name is Matthew. Shout out to you guys for doing exactly what we're talking about today. I think we got to talk about why you fundraise. Like, what's the draw? Why would you want to go sell popcorn until you earned $4,000 to go somewhere? I think we should start, maybe ask you first, Blake. What kind of programs are up there at the Northern Tier?
Awesome. So Northern Tier High Adventure, we have summer programs. We run canoe trips throughout the summer into a multitude of different parks. And then we run fall canoe trips as well through the wonderful colors of northern Minnesota. And then in the wintertime, we cover up our canoes and bring on winter, where we do dog sledding, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, camping out on the lakes, and enjoying all that northern Minnesota has to offer in the winter.
I think that anybody who knows about canoeing has heard of the Boundary Waters. It's kind of the holy grail of canoeing locations in North America, certainly, maybe in the world. I don't know. It's pretty elite canoeing. What an experience. I've actually never been there canoeing. I have been, though, to winter camp at Northern Tier. It's a little bit chilly, but I mean, when you go there, you learn how to spend the night. Correct me if I'm wrong, Blake. They learn how to spend the night outdoors. And these scouts sleeping in an igloo or a quinzhee, they looked kind of snuggly to me. They were actually kind of okay. Maybe talk just real quick about that and the skills that they learn.
Oh yeah, it is a ton of fun in the winter. You know, I like to tell people, I don't like to be cold.
Yeah.
Yet I still live here because I've learned through the scouting program how to take care of myself. So you're not being cold. It's not a survival program. We don't run a winter survival program at Northern Tier. We teach scouts how to thrive in a winter environment and have fun through the scouting program.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing, if you are a new family to scouting, you should know is there's not just one high adventure base. That is a term we use to cover 4 locations around the country. So we just heard a little bit about Northern Tier, but there is another high adventure base. This is the only one I've actually been to, but Johnny's really the expert. Johnny, what brings youth to the summit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many scouts and scouters know the summit as the home of the Jamboree. So since 2013, hundreds of thousands of scouts have been here as part of National Scout Jamboree or World Scout Jamboree programs. But we're so much more than that. So for about the past 10 years, we've been running summer programs. So those summer programs offer an array of experiences to the scouts and scouters who come visit us. So when we look at these experiences, what we're trying to offer is transformational experiences. And so that looks a bunch of different ways. So our main focus is that scouts leave here having honed their character, developed their citizenship, and increased their mental and physical readiness. So taking all of those big ideas from scouting and then delivering those through our program. So here at the summit, we actually have 7 programs. We have a traditional scout camp program that offers dozens of merit badges to participants, the same way that many other council camps do. We also have 6 unique high adventure programs. So whether you are interested in going up to the Bows and Barrels for a week full of target sports, you're interested in spending the week on the New River, on our rafts that we call duckies, or you're interested in experiencing every single high adventure venue that's on site here at the summit, we've got a program for that. So through all of those programs, we are working to deliver those transformational experiences and fulfill the promises of scouting.
So
I can't believe
cool.
it's been 10 years since the summit opened. I've been around long enough to remember when that happened, Johnny. And I remember that when that was announced, how exciting and how cool that was. As Gina said, we have representatives from 2 of the 4 BSA National High Adventure bases with us today. Maybe I'll talk real quick about the other 2. But Gina, first, before we do that, maybe remind our viewers what's at stake today and what they can do to earn a prize or to win a prize.
Absolutely. You read my mind, Aaron. I was going to put you on the spot and see if you wanted to give us a summary of Seabase and Philmont. And if you're watching this right now and you've been to Seabase or Philmont, maybe you want to give us a little roundup of what your experience was. We could read that out loud. Yeah, guys, for commenting along with today's show, you're entering for a chance to win a 4-pack of hats, one from each high adventure base. You can see what those hats look like on screen right now. I think we should read a couple comments before we move on to talking about the other 2 high adventure bases and remind you guys what we're really doing is talking about how awesome these bases are. If you're a new family, we want to kind of paint the picture of the experience for you as to why scouts get hyped about these treks and why they are willing to, fundraise, which is the other part of today's show. We're talking about fundraising ideas. So you guys are sharing those. Shout out to David, who's been to Philmont in 91, 95, and 23. Very cool. You just were there. This Troop 2 has a fun fundraiser title. I want to know more about this. Funny for Fun's comedy show. That would be very funny.
Yeah.
I think you'd have no shortage of volunteers and scouts who want to get up on stage and tell jokes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. Cameron says Northern Tier was a once in a lifetime experience. Very cool. We've got some questions that I definitely want to pose. And Aaron, I think you're going to answer some of these when we talk about fundraising, but I'm going to hold it on this one. Kelly says their unit works with the Kansas City Renaissance Fest. Amanda says popcorn just doesn't work for them. So she's really glad about this episode because she needs all the ideas. Amanda, look at the comments. There's tons of ideas.
Yep.
Troop 2 also does a shoe drive, a clothing drive. Expand on that a little bit. If you're doing it as a fundraiser, are you then like selling what you've collected? Let us know. Rob says their troop has partnered with a local company that puts on a 5-10K race to staff their water bottle stations along the race route. They'll pay towards our troop or towards an Eagle project. Wow. Some of the things you just take for granted as volunteer are actually paying roles. Amanda says, do you sell popcorn or do something else at the Renaissance Fair? I believe is what she's asking. I want to read one more. Staffing a cotton candy booth. I mean, the ideas are wild. One that I see at my church all the time that people are saying, sell Christmas things, sell Christmas wreaths, sell poinsettias. I'm seeing camp cards. This is all very cool. Thanks, guys, for commenting along. You're entering for a chance to win these hats right now. Okay, Aaron, back to the regular programming.
Yes, and real quick, if I could say, my son's Scouts BSA troop sells Christmas trees, Gina. That's one of their primary fundraising projects of the year. So,
and I buy those trees.
What's that?
I always buy those trees from your son's troop.
You know where it is, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I do.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. A lot of good ideas, as always. Our commenters are always so good about sharing ideas, asking questions, answering each other's questions. If you're not in the comments, get in there, not only to win, but also for some good information.
Aaron, sorry to interrupt. I have to read a breaking update on the comedy show. Does anybody, hopefully you're not looking at the comments, does anybody want to guess how much money it raised?
I see that. That's crazy. Yeah, so cool. I never would have thought that much, but good for them.
$16,000. Wow.
$16,000 from a comedy night. And again, like a lot of fundraisers, you learn so much by doing that. The organization skills, getting up in front of people, performing right. What a cool experience. Very, very good. Thanks you for sharing that. Troop 2 from North. What do you think that is, Gina? Scituate?
Scituate, yeah.
Scituate. Let us know if we're saying that the right way, guys. But real quick, Johnny is here very helpfully wearing a Summit sweatshirt so we can see where he's from. Blake, not as considerate. Didn't wear any Northern Tier. That's okay, though. I'm kidding, Blake. You're fine.
He has to layer up, okay?
He looks like he's in
final season.
Yes, he does. He looks like he's in Northern Tier. There are 2 other high adventure bases. Gina, you said you've only been to the Summit. There are 4. I've only been to 3 of the 4. The one I've never been to is actually Philmont Scout Ranch. Maybe the most well-known high adventure base, known for its backpacking in the rugged mountains, gorgeous mountains of New Mexico. They also offer other programs like horseback riding, fishing, things like that. There are also day camp experiences and things like that in Northern Tier. I'm sorry, in Philmont. And the fourth high adventure base is Sea Base down in Florida. That's maybe one of the other really well-known ones because of its tropical environment. You get to go on the beach. It's not really a luxurious beach vacation because you learn a lot of outdoor skills. You can go camping on the beach. You can also snorkel. You can scuba dive. You can kayak. You can canoe. You can go camp out on this primitive island, which I've actually done, Gina, Big Munson Island. It's very, very cool. Very, very fun. All of these high adventure bases do take some resources to get out there. But I think, again, the theme of today's show is it is totally, totally doable. If your scout troop, unit, crew, ship, whatever, is not already part of a vigorous fundraising project, maybe now is the time to start. It's pretty easy to get started. It's a little bit of work, but it's also a lot of big rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it's worth noting that there are troops who really just kill it at fundraising. They do it every year. They have a lot of success. So if you're in a community that's not fundraising, that tells me there's a chance that money is sitting out there for you guys to potentially be earning. So consider it and maybe consider what would work in your area. fundraising isn't the only way to kind of, help fund your way to a high adventure base. Blake made a really good point before the show. Blake, I want to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about what ways is the Northern Tier helping Scouts get there.
So yeah, one of the things that goes unnoticed a lot is scholarship opportunities. So if you're a Scout troop or a Scout individual that's really struggling to pull together the resources to come to a national high adventure base, look into the scholarship programs. Each of the high adventure bases has a scholarship program in some respect. It's going to be different depending on which program you're going to. But don't be afraid to reach out and look for those scholarship opportunities if that's something that could benefit you. There is a lot of money there to help Scouts that are struggling to get into these programs.
Very cool. We're getting some comments. Christy says the Summit Bechtel Reserve is breathtaking. Totally agree. Honestly, all the high adventure bases really are astounding. And I know you mentioned the New River Gorge. It's right next to is it still the newest national park? The Summit is, right?
Yeah. The fourth oldest river in the newest national park. So and all of our high adventure experiences take at least one rafting trip on the river. So it's a major draw and just absolutely stunning area.
You guys see youth who are visiting all the time. Is it an exaggeration to say it changes your life?
Oh yeah, no, not at all. So that's the whole goal of high adventure programs is to take those skills and techniques and strategies that Scouts learn as part of their rank advancement and through the Merit Badge program and apply that in challenging outdoor settings. So settings that may not be familiar or comfortable to our Scouts that's our bread and butter. That's what we want to present to our participants so that they have those opportunities to grow.
Yeah, it's so cool. Northern Tier is located in the prime spot for canoeing, as we said earlier, the Boundary Waters. The Summit is located in the prime spot for whitewater rafting with the New River Gorge. It's so cool. And we're so lucky to have two properties, completely different parts of the country, different types of activity. But if you're interested in those activities, you really can't find a better spot to go. Those are the places to go do those kind of activities. And that could also apply to backpacking at Philmont and, snorkeling, sea kayaking, scuba diving at the Sea Base High Adventure Base. We've got you covered. I want to add one more thing real quick. Excuse me. Blake said that mentioned the scholarships that are available. One of the things you're going to hear me say a lot over the next 5 to 7 minutes here is contact your local council, because some local councils do have similar programs available, not all, but if you go to your local council and just ask them what's available, they may have scholarship programs as well, or other tips or advice for you, things like that.
Aaron, I would love for you, because I think you're kind of our resident expert on this, to talk about some of the fundraising guidelines that exist in Scouting. And also I'm going to pose David's question to you to see if you know the answer.
Okay.
But again, I want to emphasize, we are painting this picture and we're lucky enough to have guests from the high adventure bases, because if you hear about a trek to a high adventure base, or your scout comes home and they're interested in it, it's not some frivolous thing. It's like, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. It's a lot of work to raise the funds to get there, but it is a learning experience. We've said, it changes your life. It's for a lot of people, it's inspired a passion that's led them to wanting to staff the high adventure bases, or maybe even work there professionally long-term. That happens. Just to emphasize, this is not just like, I want to go to this theme park halfway across the world. This is just something inexplicable. And you, being in Scouting, being part of the Scouting family, have a unique opportunity to access these high adventure bases that not everybody can just say, hey, I just want to go do this trek. No, you kind of have to be a trained Scout for that. Okay, Aaron, question.
Yes, and I want to real quick throw it to Johnny for a few seconds to talk about a very important topic, timing. Here we are in October, and people might be planning for their high adventure trips for next summer or the summer after that, maybe. Johnny, your thoughts on timing and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. So with the 2024 season, if you want to go in 2024, the programs are filling up very quickly. I know here at the Summit, we still have room in our Scout Camp, bikepacking, and pack and paddle. But the registration for 2025 actually opens in just a few short months. So on January 18th, so I'll give everyone a second to make a note of that, write that date down, put it in your phone as a reminder. That is the day that registration for 2025 opens. And so the good news there is that you have about 18 months of lead time to plan and prepare and start those fundraising activities that will enable that adventure. So just wanted to make a note there. If you I saw someone in the comments mention that they were interested in an ATV trek. We have a fantastic ATV trek here at the summit, and that one usually fills up first. So hopefully, I think it was Rob, we'd love to see your registration and celebrate it on the 18th of January.
Yeah, that's thanks for sharing that with us, Johnny. We appreciate that. Yeah, planning for a high adventure trek takes a while. Like you said, maybe 18 months in advance from when you really first start the process. That's great because especially for a base like Philmont, there's also a lot of physical. You want to make sure you're in shape, and so the training that a lot of troops, crews, and ships will do when they're going to Philmont. They'll start those practice hikes at least a year in advance, and it's pretty simple to sort of mesh fundraising into that process. You've got a decent amount of time, and so it's not too late to start thinking about that. We've had a lot of folks comment about popcorn, and popcorn is probably the most common Scouts, BSA, and older kid, I guess even for Cub Scouts too, right? It's probably the most popular fundraising project, and that's because the BSA has licensed agreements with some popcorn sellers. Again, it's going to differ depending on the council. Your council might have an agreement with a popcorn seller that's different from the council down the road. So it is important that you work with your council when you sell popcorn to make sure you're working with the right seller and that we don't have sellers competing with each other. BSA licensed popcorn sellers are the way to go for popcorn. You really don't want to go rogue and find your own popcorn to sell. It really is beneficial to everybody to use a BSA licensed popcorn seller. Now, we've had a couple of folks in the comments, Gina, say that popcorn isn't working out for them. That's totally cool. It happens. Some popcorn, it's expensive, $60 for a bin of popcorn or whatever. The young man, I think his name was Aaron, that Gina ran to over the weekend. He's had tremendous success selling popcorn. That's probably because of his personality and his persistence. And I bet, he's probably a pretty charming kid, and he can really express himself, and he can express where that money's going to go to. And when you tell folks this money is going to help send me to camp, that's a lot different than just saying, do you want to spend $60 on a bin of popcorn, right?
Yes, painting that picture of like, this isn't just, think of it as at least partially a donation to my future.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. You're really not just paying for the popcorn, right? You're paying for a young person for what will be a life-changing experience. Having said that, there are other options, as people are noting in the comments. A lot of Christmas-themed sales, mulch, Christmas trees, wreaths, things like that. Some councils sell camp cards. If you don't know what a camp card is, it's like a grocery store discount card that you sell. Those are pretty easy to sell because you can sell them outside of a grocery store, and you can sell the card for $20. And when they go inside, they save $20 on the groceries. So that's a pretty easy sale. And again, if you start doing that now, $20 a card, it doesn't seem like that much, but you get out there and you start hitting it right now, you've got time to make it happen. There are lots of other opportunities. What I would say again, Gina, before you start any new fundraising project, what we're hoping today is that maybe we're inspiring some folks to start new fundraising projects. Please consult with your local council, because there are some rules about what you can do and what you can't do. If you're one of those troops that's been selling mulch for years or doing your comedy show for years, you're fine. You're good. You don't need to worry about it. But if you're interested in starting a new project, which we hope some of you will be after watching today, I just think, contact your council just to make sure. There are a few different rules about what you can and can't do. You're not really supposed to engage in games of chance and things like that. You're supposed to represent the name of the BSA, all these things like that, wear your uniform, there's little things like that. Most of you guys are probably doing that anyway, but it's worth a quick email or a quick conversation with a representative from your local council just to make sure that your idea is okay. Again, a lot of good ideas in the comments. I haven't seen anything in the comments that looks like it's not appropriate or anything like that, guys. So if you're looking for ideas, as usual, Gina, our viewers are almost always the best source. Look in the comments. There's lots of good stuff here. And worth a final reminder, We have prize to give away, Gina.
Yeah, we're seconds away from giving these hats away. So this is your last chance to comment before we use our super official random comment picker to award 2 people 4 hats today. The hats you see on screen. I love these suggestions there. Marilyn says we always start with, would you like to donate to the scouting program and take some popcorn
Yeah,
home?
the bonus is you get some popcorn. Is that?
Yes. We have a question that I want to pose. I want to throw Blake's way, which was specific to scholarships. Panzer Scout Troop 44 is saying, do scholarships help with transportation costs as well? We're part of an overseas council, so transportation can be pricey. You may know, you may not know the answer to that.
Unfortunately, I don't believe the high adventure-based scholarships do cover transportation costs. I could be wrong in that. I know Northern Tiers, we don't necessarily cover that. However, that is where things can come back to the council too, because councils also have scholarship opportunities. And some of our programs that do use scholarships will sometimes get scholarships from their local council to help cover that transportation cost.
Perfect clarification. As we wrap up our conversation today, in just about 60 seconds, I'll announce our winners. I'm throwing up some comments on screen with fundraising ideas. We've cross-posted today's show on multiple accounts. So if you're not seeing the full chat, be sure to check out like Scout Life Facebook, check out Scouting Magazine Facebook, Cub Scout Facebook, jump around to the scouting channels. And anything else we're missing, guys, before we award winners?
If I could just point out real quick, I want to highlight the comment from Panzer Scout Troop 44. What a great point. Fundraisers have been excellent recruiting events for us as well. Fundraisers are another way to get your unit out in your community, in your uniform, with a sign that says Scouts BSA Troop 44 or whatever it is. And you never know. When we used to do fundraising with my son, some person would always come up to us and say, oh, I was an Eagle Scout back in whatever, or a parent with a young child would come up and say, how do I join? So what a great point that is. Fundraising is a great way to promote your unit within your community. I just wanted to point that out real quick, Gina.
Very good. Well, guys, we've got 2 winners. Guys, keep your eyes on your inbox wherever you were watching this. I'll message you. We'll get your address. We'll get these shipped. But our winners are Marilyn Cox and Seth Goldstein. Congrats to you both.
Good job, Marilyn and Seth.
We cannot thank you enough, Johnny and Blake, for joining us. I know we threw a lot at you. Guys, these guys were just thinking on their feet, speaking honestly with us, and we would welcome you back. I think this is a really good topic, and based on all the feedback we're getting, we have a lot more to say.
Fantastic. Thanks again so much for having us.
Blake, stay warm up there this winter, Blake.
Will do. Thanks for having us, and thanks for repping the high adventure bases.
Of course, we'd be happy to have you guys back. And guys, keep your eyes on your calendar, your emails. We will be doing another live stream focused on high adventure bases and registration opening in just a couple weeks. So until then, we'll see you next time.
Great job, everybody. Thanks for watching.